Okay, now we did the dowel shape on the big one here that we didn't use a bandsaw on, and we also did the same, so they should both look round when you look at the bottom. Okay, now with this one, we did this already on a bandsaw. That saved us some time, but I need to clean that up, so I'm going to go back over this and I'm just going to cut a little bit off just to get off the bandsaw marks. Okay, and reshape it a little bit if it needs to be done, but you can do that, or you can go here and do the same thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it a little bit differently, because let me do this one first on the bandsaw. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take off, we have this rounded and we have that rounded, okay, the two sides. All we're going to do is take that corner off. Alright, just going to swipe that out and just kind of blend that in a little bit. Alright, just like so. Same thing here, you're going to just take that corner off. You know, it's very hard to get it perfectly round when you're carving. That is a challenge for most carvers when they carve. So we're also going to do, once I get the balls both carved out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down the center on a bandsaw. You can use a coping saw, and then we'll be able to handle one at a time. Alright, so let's keep going here. We're just going to round this off. The reason I have this on two, that you can hang on to one, you know, like this one here, you can kind of hang on to it better if you're a beginner and do one. This one here I do a little bit differently. I actually start to round it off and take off a certain amount. Alright, and I keep going until this is rounded up, and that will make our ball. Alright, same thing here. We're going to take off those corners and try to get it up to the center. And a lot of this, folks, is just eyeballing it. If you want to put markings on it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I have my reference points. I'm all about reference points if you need them. You know, it's a good idea to have them. It just keeps you from cutting off too much and getting carried away with it. All right. You can leave them natural if you want. You can put a design on these after you're done. I'm going to leave them with the knife marks on it. I'm not a real fan of sanding anything. If you notice, a lot of my carvings, I don't require any sanding to it. I just can't handle the dust. And if you have any lung problems or anything like that, you know, as much as you can do with the knife will save you from I'm getting all the, now if you cut it with a bandsaw, I just want to make mention, you need to get all those bandsaw marks off, okay? Otherwise it's going to look really, really weird. Now this has some dark markings in the wood. This is just something I picked out of the basement, and I thought I'll give this a try. It cuts nice, but this is an air piece, dried piece that I bought at a show last year. Can't always see inside what it has, you know. And then what you want to do is you want to do the top portion here as well. Okay, you see it's coming, it's merging. And the same thing here. What you want to do is you want to, you know, if you want to do from side to side, might be a little easier. And, you know, do that side and then do another side rounded, or you can keep cutting it around. I think cutting it around makes it a little more sense to me, because you're going to be cutting it around anyway. And maybe, before we keep going, we need to put maybe a center line around the middle, just as a reference point. Okay, just as a reference point. Okay, should be about the same. Yeah, okay, make sure that's the same. Okay, the thing's in the way. Alright, yeah, okay, good. Alright, that's how I measure things, folks. It's just a lot easier than whipping out that tape measure all the time. We'll worry about this up top a little bit later and when we finally actually cut it out. Okay, but you get the idea. This needs all to be rounded. I'm going to spray it to make it a little bit softer for me to work with. Usually I tell you to do it lightly. I'm not doing that today. Okay, here we go. I'm back. And you'll see it. I mean, you just have to eyeball it. It's a good way to learn where you got to remove more of the wood and how to get it a little bit more round. It might take you a while, you know. It's a real challenge to get. We had this challenge at our club and I got there too late. I got there about a half an hour after this contest started. And what you had to do is take a block, exactly what we had here, make it into a round ball, and then they would put it on a track, like on the table. They'll put 3 together and they'll roll it down the table to see who had the best perfectly carved round ball. And I thought it was a very interesting, you know, very interesting contest. What I'm also using is another Rough Rider knife, not a Barlow, but it's a little. That one needs to be resharpened a little bit. I gotta take that back to my sharpening tool. Been doing a lot of carving lately, as you can tell. Not that I mind. I like doing my projects, and you know, coming up with new stuff is sometimes challenging. Okay, there we go. And we're gonna fuss with this more as we start taking this apart. So that's kind of the round ball that we want. And then I'm going to put a design on one. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but I know there's endless things that you can put on these. You know, and this is really small, so we're not going to be able to do a lot with it. I might even use my little V tool, micro tools, but I'm trying to keep this somewhat simple for the beginner. If you don't want to do anything but paint it, that's also fine. Okay, this is just a very simple project. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to do this one offline. I'm going to keep going around. Alright, going to keep going around until I feel it's nice and round. And then what you do is you go up here and then you cut the next section off. Okay, we'll be right back.